Today I'm going to show you how to make an aged and battered tag. As always, this is super easy. Now I'll add information regarding the kits that I'm using in the details below this video. Of course, you don't need to use digitals, you can just use any patterned paper you might have. You can also just check out my website where you'll find quite a few free digitals you can use. You can also find a craft room of projects on the website. Now I'm just going to finish cutting out this blue and white tag. I do really like these French themed tags. I'm now going to use Mod Podge to glue my tag down onto this sheet of backing card. Now if you haven't come across this before, it's basically a glue and a sealer. It's the kind of thing you'd use for decoupage. Now I'm just using a matte version today, but you can also get a gloss version. Now you don't have to be neat and perfect here, you just want to make sure that you've covered the whole of the tag. Now the Mod Podge will dry clear. Now I'm just going over it a few times just to make sure that it's well and truly sealed. Now ideally I should have left this to dry just for a few minutes longer, but as you can see it's starting to go clear. I'm just going to cut out my tag shape. Don't worry about being too accurate. Remember, we are trying to make an old, tattered looked tag, not a neat, perfect tag. Now, when you're backing your tag onto a piece of card, you could use something like an old cereal box. The important thing is you just need to create those 2 layers, and you'll see why in just a moment. Now, this is the fun bit. I've got a sanding block here. And what I'm going to do is start roughing up the edges. And as you do that, you'll notice that the top layer, for me, the printed tag, starts to kind of pull away slightly from the backing card. You'll start to get a few broken edges and also a few little curls in the paper. And you'll start just to see a bit of the backing card underneath. It's now starting to look far less like a pristine printable and far more like an old battered tag. Now I just want the front of my tag to look battered. I'm actually going to keep the back of it quite neat so it's perfect for writing on. I like how this is starting to look. That's really starting to feel more aged. I'm just going to just curl in a few of those edges a bit more. Now using my crocodile, I'm just going to make a hole in the top of my tag. If you don't have a crocodile, you could also use a hole punch. Now using my crocodile again, I'm just going to add this black eyelet. Now I always find this a little bit tricky. Some of you are probably a lot better at this than I am. But as I'm going for a battered look of a tag, I don't mind too much how this turns out. Now that's far from perfect, but it certainly adds to the old battered tag look. This isn't a necessary step, it's the 2 layers that really matter. Now I have just added a bulb safety pin through the hole in the top of my tag. And I'm now going to just ink around the edges just to add a little bit more of an aged feel. Inking is optional, but I do think it really makes a difference here. Now I sometimes just like to add an extra little kind of bent corner to some of my pieces, so I'm just going to bend that over. It just adds to that aged feel. You're really just trying to make it look a bit battered and worn, and there we have it. One battered looking tag, perfect for adding to your journals.